Sure.
What is this?
Hello, everybody.
Sound. There you
Okay, there we are.
Are you there?
are. Now we got sound.
Yeah.
Is anyone else there?
Yeah, you can't make coffee now.
Oh, what?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll turn you up here, volume-wise.
Hear you.
Don't know.
They can hear you.
There you go.
Hear that
Now
meeting.
you're loud.
Oh, technology.
Do you have speaker stream or something like that?
Lovely stuff.
Garrett Beatty just signed in.
There I am. Oh, hey, everyone.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me at all? Give me a
Yeah.
thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, you can hear me. Michael, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up, Michael, if you can hear me. There's Sam. Sam.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I have a
Oh, that's speaker.
earplugs in.
What happened here?
Oh, and there's Karen. And Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Brian.
Oh, there's Karen right there.
Oh, now I can hear everybody.
You hear me?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. Thanks
How
for
come
joining us.
Lost our video.
Yeah, we lost the video.
Now you lost your video?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
lost.
lost video.
We see him.
I can see you.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
We see a blank. It's not a blank, but just a white screen.
Isn't technology fun? Is it you? You and me?
That's better.
No. I have the
Yeah.
volume super high, so maybe that's what was going on. I'm sitting next to Garrett. We're literally across from each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good thing I went home. I could have been in there too.
Oh yeah, that would have been fun. Well, hey, thank you everybody for joining us. Sam, good to have you on. Michael, and we have a phone number. Is that you, Dr. Bill? Or who's on the phone? The 509
Jennifer's
number.
on the phone. Oh, that's Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How's the baby?
Oh, he's good. He's right here.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. I can't believe 3 months from today we will be in Israel together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just found out that one of our missionaries is going to be there too.
Oh, awesome. Oh, we'll
And
have
maybe
to,
we can run into him.
that would be fun. Well, we'll have to try and connect up. Maybe when
Yeah.
we're in Jerusalem or something. Where are they? Where do they live?
Well, it's Joe Kunkel. Right now they're in Phoenix.
Phoenix,
Area?
Israel?
Oh, they're living
Oh,
in Phoenix,
they don't live in
Arizona.
Israel. They're just going to be there at the same
They're
time.
going to be in Israel at the same time, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a good chance. Us tourists tend to run into each other at the same places.
Yeah, that's true.
So 3 months, 3 months from now, we will be in Israel together. And I thought it'd be fun today to start off with a question. What are you leaving behind when you're coming to Israel? What's one thing you're leaving behind? It could be a person, or it could be a jacket. Hopefully it's not your passport. But just maybe remind us, your name and where you live, and what's one thing you're leaving behind. Jeff and Karen, can we start with you guys?
Sure. I'm Jeff Callis, and I'm leaving behind work.
All right. That's a good thing to leave behind.
Yeah.
I'm Karen, and I'm go. Yeah, I don't know what I'm leaving behind. I'd like to say I'm leaving behind parenting, but hopefully I won't have to parent while I'm over there.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Karen. Sam, how about you?
Well, I'll be leaving my wife behind. She's not coming. And also, I don't know if you can see this setting, but we live in the trees,
Beautiful.
and I've been to Egypt, so Israel is probably something like Egypt. There aren't a lot of big trees around, and Oregon is nice, but I'm looking forward to Israel.
Great, Sam. And what city do you live in?
I live outside of Salem, east of Salem.
Got it. Great. We'll see a few trees. Yeah, parts of Israel, the parts particularly that we'll see first will look a lot like Egypt, but then as we go farther north, you'll see more and more trees.
Oh, great.
Yeah. But there's no place like Oregon. The more I travel, the more I realize Oregon's a pretty special place.
Yeah.
That's right.
Jennifer, how about you? What's something you're leaving behind?
We'll be leaving behind our other two kids, the 5 and 3-year-old.
Yeah, and you're bringing the little one along, right?
Yeah, but they'll be with, my mom will be watching them, so they'll be in good hands.
Good. I'm glad you're coming along with us. And you live where?
Yakima, Washington.
All right. Very good. Washington's wonderful too. Michael, how about you?
3 kids, 13, 10, and 4.5, and living with grandma and grandpas. They're trading off. That'll be interesting.
But your wife's coming along with you, and we're thankful for that.
I'm bringing my wife. I don't know where she's at right now. She's at the house. I don't know.
Yeah. And where do you live, Michael?
Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
I can tell you suburb, but nobody knows where it is.
Seattle's close enough. Guys, how about you? Where do you live, and what are you leaving behind?
Go ahead. We live in Oregon City, Oregon. And I guess I'm leaving behind the security of daily regime and health.
Okay.
Just thinking there might come some challenges.
All right. Okay.
I don't know what I'm leaving behind.
Schoolwork.
Schoolwork is what I was thinking about. but
Nice.
I'm thinking we're going to have to take something anyway, so maybe not going to be left behind as much as I thought.
We have another year.
Well, at least bring a notepad and paper along.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have some stuff for you to do, but hopefully it won't feel like schoolwork.
Right.
Yeah.
Garrett, what about you, buddy?
I'm afraid to unmute this. Can you hear me if I just use Ryan's mic?
I'll mute myself.
Yeah, we can hear him.
I am leaving behind a wife, 2 kids, 3 cows, 9 chickens, a dog, and 2 cats.
A lot of work.
Yeah, and a lot of work that I don't have to do. Here in Corvallis, little tiny hobby farm. So that's what I'm leaving.
Yeah. All right. And I'm Ryan in Corvallis.
Somebody else just joined.
Oh,
Who's that?
T-Dog. Hey, Thomas.
It's Jennifer's
Hey, how's it going?
Are you muted?
He's in school.
Good. Hey, so thanks for joining us. We are just finishing up our little icebreaker question. Where do you live, and what's one thing you're leaving behind on our trip?
I'm Thomas. I'm from Yakima, Washington, and I am leaving behind my 2 kids, I guess, 2 of the 3.
Awesome. And yeah, congratulations on the new little one.
Thank you.
And your wife Jennifer's on with us too. So
Yeah, she was the one that told me to get on. I was at work working away.
Nice, good. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I want to teach you 3 Hebrew words today. Okay, so they're really simple and short, but they're kind of fun to use when we're in Israel. Last time we met, we learned the word shalom, which means peace. And it's also just a good greeting. It's a way to say hello. You can say it when you're saying goodbye, kind of like aloha. So shalom is that word. May you be whole, may you be well, may you find peace. So today I want to teach you how to say yes, no, and thank you. And these will come, in handy when you're bartering. Although everybody speaks English to some degree, enough to be able to get your money from you. So the word for yes is Ken.
Where I've traveled.
Ken, just like Ken the Barbie doll. Okay, I think yes, I want to look like Ken the Barbie doll. So Ken means yes. So Ken, can you say Ken with me? Ken. So are we going to have a good time in Israel? Ken. Okay, that's yes in Hebrew. The second word I'm going to teach you is no. And for no, you just, instead of saying N-O, you say L-O, lo. Can you say lo?
Love.
So
Hey, will any of us get sick in Israel? Ken.
Hello.
Someone will. Someone will.
Brian Eckhart.
Someone will. But will we soldier on? Yes, we will. Ken. So what's low? What's a no again in Hebrew?
Love.
Low. Okay. What's yes?
Ken.
And then the last one is thank you or thanks, which is just toda. T-O-D-A. Toda.
Toda.
Toda. Okay.
Toda.
Toda.
Yeah.
Nice and simple.
Toda.
Yep. So if you want to say, if someone says, here I have a beautiful map, one of a kind map of Jerusalem. Would you like one? $1 only. Margie, what would you say?
Hello, Toda.
Probably no.
You could say lo toda. They're actually quite nice, and they are only $1. The only part that's untrue there is it's not one of a kind. You'll find them everywhere.
Right.
One of many, yeah.
one of many. Hey, another thing you'll get asked. Hey, for just a few dollars, you can take a camel ride down the same streets that Jesus walked, or a donkey ride down the same streets that Jesus walked in Jerusalem. Do you want to take a donkey ride down?
Love.
No, Toda.
Lo toda. Ken. Okay.
Not so hard.
You could think about it. I don't know. They might just, last time a few people just rode a camel around on top of the mountain before we walked down.
Yeah.
So that was nice. Here's a free drink. I don't know where it came from. Would you like one?
No, Toda.
Are you having a good time in Israel so far?
Ken.
Ken. See, you guys are catching on great. So those are just a few words that you can use. Yeah.
I hope the words that you're adding to this list are, where's the bathroom, please?
Where's the bathroom, please? Well, here's the thing about Israel. You can use English anytime you want. So
Perfect.
Yeah. So for those essentials like that, I don't even know the word bathroom in Hebrew. So, yeah, they'll be able to. But they always appreciate, as many people do when you're in their country, when you make an attempt to speak the language that they know. So just kind of fun stuff.
Every country I've ever been to, just try the language.
Right.
To help you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today I want to talk just a little bit about the Negev, or the Southland. One of the really cool things about this trip is we're going to be taking you from the beginning of the trip down to the southern border of ancient Israel, which was a place called Beersheba. And by the end of the trip, we'll be all the way up to the northern reaches of ancient Israel at Dan. So there's a passage in 1 Kings that talks about Solomon, and it says that Solomon ruled over all the lands west of the Euphrates River from Tifsha to Gaza, and over all the kings west of the Euphrates. He had peace on all sides. The people of Judah and Israel from Dan all the way to Beersheba lived securely under their vines and fig trees throughout the days of Solomon. So this is kind of this standard phrase you'll see quite a few times in the Hebrew Bible, from Dan to Beersheba. So we're actually going to cover the whole length of Israel on our trip. And the first 4 days will be in the Negev region and the Dead Sea area. And so I've actually never been down into the Negev, the Southland. It is much more desert, arid region. But I looked at the average temperatures in May, and even there in the desert, it's about 80 degrees. So it'll feel really nice, I think. So we'll look at a couple things when we're there, and you can hopefully you all have our itinerary in some email somewhere. And if you don't, send me an individual email and I'll get it to you. But one of the fun things is just as you prepare over these next 3 months, just take a look at some of these sites that we're going to be going to and just get a little bit of a frame of mind. We'll have some resources there on site when we're there. Our guide will be telling us a little bit about the sites that we're seeing, but you're going to be looking through layers of history, and in the Negev, particularly quite ancient history. From Abraham, and we'll go to a place where we know was a known encampment of the children of Israel when they were wandering the desert. We'll get to see some tamarisk trees. Thomas, you got the award for guessing the tree on the Facebook group page. Congratulations, 2 gold stars for you. So there's tamarisk trees like the one that Abraham planted at Beersheba, and we'll see some of those. And so I think it's going to be a very exciting way to start off our trip. One thing that Dr. Bill and I wanted to make sure for you to know is those first 4 days of our trip, we'll be staying in a different hostel each night. And so, just put yourself a little bit in this mindset that the first 4 days, we're going to feel a bit nomadic, which maybe is fitting for the type of places we're going to be seeing. But packing light will be really important. If you can manage just one big suitcase and then a backpack, type thing that you can carry with you, there won't be bellhops along the way to take care of our luggage for us. We're going to do that ourselves because we're pilgrims, and that's what pilgrims do. So those first 4 days, different rooms each night. The accommodations will be fine. They will be adequate. This isn't the hostels of Europe, where you're just trading out in a bed that someone slept in 2 hours before. It's not that type of hostel. But it won't be quite the accommodations that we'll experience when we get to Jerusalem and then in Tiberias. So after those first 4 days, things will slow down. But as we move through the desert, you'll definitely feel that nomadic type wandering feeling. So I think that's kind of exciting and fitting as we begin our trip to start down in the Southland, where some of the origin stories of Israel began. And so do some research on that. And then the other area we wanted to touch on today was as we move up into the Dead Sea region. It's the lowest region on Earth that's above water. It's actually below sea level by, I think, about 2,000 feet. And it'll get hotter there. It's about a 90-degree average there in May in the Dead Sea area. And the only thing I can tell you about the Dead Sea when we swim in it is you really do float. In fact, you can't sink. You can't not float in the Dead Sea. And one of my favorite my favorite memories the first time we were there was my wife was along with me, and she just couldn't stop giggling as we were floating in the Dead Sea. It was just hilarious. It's a really weird sensation. They will tell you, and we'll remind you when we get there, you have to walk backwards into the Dead Sea, because if you walk in front ways, inevitably the buoyancy will kick your feet up behind you, and you'll go face first into the water, which they strongly discourage, because if you get it in your eyes, it will sting. And so probably on our trip, just like every trip, there's that guy that doesn't listen. It's almost always a guy. Sorry, guys. That guy that doesn't, that'll be Garrett. Garrett's already nominating himself. That guy that doesn't listen. So the first time we were there, this guy just came running and jumping in, like Baywatch style, jumping into the water. And his eyes were red for days. So, it was hard to feel sorry for him because we told him so. But it's a really neat sensation. Bring an old swimsuit. Bring a swimsuit that you don't mind never wearing again, because the salinity is so high that it could ruin the swimsuit. There's therapeutic mud that people literally fly in from Europe to wash this mud all over their, all over their bodies. It's supposed to be great for your skin. It gives me a rash. So I tried it once, and that was my experience. So that's just a really fun part of being down there in the Dead Sea area. We'll go to Masada, which was Herod's mountaintop fortress there. We'll actually take a cable car up to the top and explore the last fortress of the Jewish revolt against Rome and where that ended. That's just an incredible sight. And then we'll stay a night at En-Gedi. And so we're just going to be hitting one site after the other. And so as much as you can work through the itinerary ahead of time and kind of get some pre-knowledge, if you don't want to look at pictures, you want to be surprised, don't look at pictures, but at least study up a little bit in preparation for that. So I know I'm going really fast. I'm trying to give you an overview of the first 4 or 5 days and just some things we'll see. One of the other sites we'll stop at is a place called Qasar El Yahud, which means crossing of the Jews. And it's a spot on the Jordan River where tradition says that the Israelites crossed with Joshua into the Promised Land. It's just south of Jericho. And it's also a site where tradition says Jesus was baptized by John when he began his ministry. So when we think of the Jordan River, and maybe this is just from being in the Northwest, we think of rivers as these clear, wide, gushing bodies of water where we can see through. The Jordan River is not that way. And after flowing from the north of Israel all the way down to the south, it'll probably be quite brown and disappointing to look at. Nevertheless, there will be a chance if anybody wants to be baptized in the Jordan River, to be baptized there at Qasar El Yahud. And we'll walk in and we'll stay in the Jordan River there. There's a fence halfway in the river, and this side of the fence is the Israeli side, and the other side of the fence is the Jordanian side. And I strongly encourage you not to cross the fence because the Jordanian soldiers will be watching you and bearing witness to your baptism. But if any of you, want to do that when we're there, we can think through that and talk through that. Let me know in a separate email and just, hey, I'd love to be baptized in the Jordan, and we'll take time to do that at the crossing of the Jews. So. Okay, I just covered a lot there. Are there questions about some of the things we're going to see in the first 4 or 5 days of our trip as you've been looking through the itinerary?
Yes, Ryan.
Yeah.
Sam here. I want to take my computer. I hate to be without my computer for that long a time, but it's going to be heavy. I know that. So, any suggestions? Maybe something else. I'm a writer, and I want to be writing when I can.
I'll be bringing my laptop along with me. As far as safety goes, it should be fine. You'll be with your stuff when we stay at the hostels, and then the bus will be locked anytime we get on or off, and the driver usually stays with the bus for the majority of the time that we're at a particular site. So yeah, there are safety boxes at the hotels. I don't know if they would be big enough to put your laptop in, but you could bring it with you each day if you wanted to. But as far as the weight thing, that's kind of for you to decide how much you want to carry it around. There's some days where honestly we will do 8 or 10 miles of walking, and you could leave the computer on the bus, for some of that. But those days in the desert, I think we'll be doing some more driving in between sites. Although I hope we get out and walk in the desert a little bit, just to get the feel for it. So. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Safety-wise, I think a lot of people bring their laptops and computers and haven't had issues with it. So,
Good.
Yeah. What other questions do you have about the Southland? That first 4 or 5 days of our of our journey together.
What about exposure to the sun? You talked about temperatures, but are we going to be subject to sunburn? We need to take.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend a hat of some kind, and then sunscreen, just to have available, because we'll be out in the sun, outdoors a lot of the time. So lather up. I would definitely recommend that you can bring sunblock and bring a hat of some kind. I'm going to bring a hat. And it'll probably be a goofy hat, but I don't care because I don't want my head to get burned. So,
Right.
It's good. Water, in a minute, we'll share some tips for dealing with jet lag. So if you have some, you can get some ready. But water, will be essential. The bus driver will have bottled water for $1. The hostels and the hotels we're at, the water will be drinkable, and so you can bring your own bottled water. Bring your own water bottle to fill up each day before we leave where we're going to be. So, but there's usually access to water, bottled water, wherever we'll be. But bringing some $1 bills along just to kind of pick that up will be really good. And drinking lots of water, obviously, staying hydrated will be important throughout the trip. So,
Yes, I've got all these questions. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I missed last time. I just blew past me. So we can have American dollars.
Yes. Yeah. American dollars will work. Work great there, especially for water, and then for souvenirs in certain places when we're in Jerusalem and there's street vendors. Those types of things. Your debit card and credit card, they'll take your plastic money too. They'll take any kind of money that you're willing to give them. But they do prefer sometimes if you try and hand someone a really wrinkly $1 bill, they'll be like, "Do you have a crisper one? Do you have a cleaner one?" So when they're doing their exchange, I think sometimes there can be issues with dollar bills that are more wrinkly. But if you don't want to do exchange rates, or you don't want to worry about that at the airport, we'll take some time to exchange our money, and there'll be some other places where you'll have the opportunity to do that if you want to do shekels. So
Do we lose much in the exchange?
You'd have to. I don't know. You'd have to check and see.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Other questions?
How many will be in our group?
There are 26 of us. 24 of us. I think. I'll find out the exact number before we leave so I don't lose anybody. So there's about 24 of us. Did you have a follow-up question, Jeff?
So we're all on one bus then?
Yeah, we'll all be on one bus. It's a bus that seats, the buses usually seat about 40. So there should be plenty of space. It's an air-conditioned bus. And there'll be 24 of us. And while we're in country, we'll break you up into smaller groups. Not that you have to stay with those people, but those groups of 6, you'll elect someone in your group to be your group leader. And so when we get on the bus or we're moving from one site to the next, I'll know who those 4 group leaders are, and I'll ask those 4 group leaders, is everybody in your group there? And if they say yes, then we go. So you'll want to know who your group leader is too, so they don't leave you behind. But rather than me counting 24 people every time we go from one place to the next, we'll kind of divvy that up. It's a great sized group. It's big enough for us to have our own bus and not have to share with anybody else, which will be nice.
Brian?
Yeah.
Answer Sam's question on the exchange rate. I just looked it up. It's currently about $1 to 3.5 shekels.
Thank you.
Great. Both times I've been to Israel, I have not exchanged exchanged any money, and it hasn't been a problem. But again, if you want to do that, then that's an option. So yeah, I would recommend you letting your credit card or your bank know that you're going to be out of the country, so that you don't get shut down when you make a purchase. So, and I mentioned last time, Sam, the lunches we'll stop for lunch each day, but the lunches are not included in your trip cost. And they're usually about $10 or so, $10 or $15. And, there's different options. They'll have falafel, or they'll have shawarma and a drink. The breakfasts are included, the dinners are included, and they're big buffet style. So some people just eat a really big breakfast and bring some snacks along for lunch and save the $10 each day, and then wait for dinner. And most evenings we'll be back to our hotel by 5 or 6 in the evening, for a dinner. So so you can kind of think about what you need eating wise to sustain you while we're in the desert. Anybody have any tips that those of you that have traveled before, any just tips for the group on managing jet lag? We'll be just a few hours ahead over there, and we will be arriving at night, which is nice in a way that we can get some rest and then start fresh the next day. But you will feel it both before and after. My experience so far with Israel has been coming back has been harder, and took a couple weeks to recover, and much to the chagrin of the people around me, but it just takes a little bit of time. So, but there's some things you can do. So those of you that have traveled before, dealt with jet lag, just tips for the group that we can kind of glean from.
I don't know, but Karen, the PESM librarian, said that when she took a trip to Israel or somewhere east, that there was a special travel diet or something like that she used, and really felt pretty good. That took the issue of jet lag and just nullified that effect and the difference in foods and whatnot.
Oh, good.
She
okay.
recommended it.
Did she say where she got that special diet?
No, I didn't. I was going to check with her when we meet again in March.
Okay, great.
Ryan, I've traveled 18 countries now. So what I found is, yes, traveling east to west, the jet lag has always been worse every time. I'm sure there's something to attribute to that too, but I found that when I'm traveling the long flights, those 30-hour flights or whatever, I stay awake as long as I can before I get on the plane. And so that I'm more restful on the plane, I wear the mask, the earplugs, anything to drown things out so I can get sound sleep. Never drink sodas on the plane because you find that'll swell your feet. That sugars and the salt, anything salty, it restricts blood flow.
Great.
So also take off your shoes, dig your toes in the. I found that, I don't know why that is, but I learned this and it works. Take off your shoes and knead your toes into the carpet. It actually reduces jet lag.
All right. Cool. A lot of good tips there, Michael. Thank you. Those are awesome. Others have things that you've done before that have worked, or? I know one of the other things that I've tried is, wherever you are, be there. So rather, when we arrive, rather than thinking, oh, my body, it's used to so-and-so time back in Portland and I'm getting adjusted. It's like, nope, just wherever you are, whatever time it is there, just be there. And that's a bit of a psychological trick, and just, this is what my body's going to get used to, and this is what time it is. And, there will obviously you will be fatigued no matter what time of day it is when you're traveling as far as we'll travel. Yeah. But the excitement of what we're seeing and doing will help offset that. And there'll be some time, when we're driving that you'll get some rest if you really desperately need it. So those are just a few trips or a few tips. So speaking of, dietary special diets or seating or planes or anything like that, Dr. Bill wanted me to remind you that he sent you a a confirmation email about your passports and your names, and we're getting ready to buy those plane tickets that we have reserved. And so if you have United Airline code, air mileage number that you want to send to him, if you have a seating preference, we can't necessarily accommodate it, but it doesn't hurt to ask. I said I want an exit row, so we'll see what happens with that. But if you do have a seating preference, you can send that along, no promises. And if you have a dietary preference, I think there is a meal on the long flight. They provide a meal, so if you have some sort of dietary preference, again, I'm not sure if that can 100% be accommodated, but I think we want to make the effort, and the group that's arranging our flights wants us to ask. So so at the very least, please confirm in that email to Bill that your passport number and your name and birth date is correct. He sent that to each of you individually just for privacy, but he does need confirmation from that. So that's a little housekeeping thing that he wanted to make sure that I shared with you all. We are going to be doing our Zooms again in March 4th in the afternoon. I'll send out the specific time later, and then March 5th, Monday, March 5th as well at noon. So that'll start our 2-month countdown. So things are really counting down, and details are falling into place. And if you have any logistical questions, you can email Dr. Bill or I. If you have questions about the trip and how to prepare and the itinerary itself, that's something that I've been working on. If you're a Facebook person, we have a Facebook group page, and hopefully I've invited everybody that's on Facebook to that, but we'll just share some fun things along the way to get prepared. And the other thing I'll do after this is I'll send out a link. There's a book called The Christian Traveler's Guide. Oh, I have it right here. I'll show it to you. The Christian Traveler's Guide to the Holy Land. This is a great resource for some of the trip stuff, but even more than that, it has some really cool just ways to prepare for the trip through prayer, scriptures that you can begin reading. There's a historical timeline. And so I know with a trip this big and the investment that you're making time-wise, the investment that you're making financially, you want to do everything you can to prepare. But I just want to keep before us that, this is different than a vacation. It won't feel like a vacation at all. This is different than a trip. This is a pilgrimage. This is a spiritual journey that we're on. And God will speak to us in a lot of different ways, in ways we can't anticipate. But there's also that period of preparation. So as much as we're thinking through our suitcase and our packing and what we're going to bring and what we're going to do, I want to just invite us to prepare our hearts spiritually as well. So I'd actually like to just close our time today. I got 90 seconds left. If a few of you would just pray for us and pray that God would prepare our hearts, and we'll close our time together with prayer. So feel free to lead out if you'd like.
Thank you, Lord, for the adventure and the learning that you have ahead of us. Prepare us physically, emotionally, and give us open hearts and ears to be prepared. And thank you for putting this group together, for the leadership, and build us up in the faith through this. In the name of Jesus.
God, I thank you for this group, and I thank you for the people with us today and all the others who are a part of our trip, all 24 of us, God, that you would prepare our hearts and our minds for this adventure. Do the work that you want to do in us beforehand, and take care of all the details and the things we're leaving behind. We entrust them to you, and we look forward to our next time together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you for joining us today. Shalom. Todah. Thank you. And we will see you in March.